You know what? Let me tell you something about my collection. There's barely any games here. I mean, just look at this. This is it's like I'm so bored at the moment. I really want to play some games, but there is literally nothing that I can play. Seriously, I'm so bored. There's nothing. I can barely any games to begin with. I have like, I don't know, I barely have anything. You know, and I probably have already played them all because there is barely nothing here. Jeez. It's like, look at this. There's literally nothing I can play. I got no... Fine, let me just take a look at this collection and we'll see what will come out. Hey, wait a minute. Clockwork Knight 2. Maybe I should play the first one. No, I don't have the first one. Well, I haven't played this game yet, and since there's nothing to play here, I might as well try this one. I mean, I still haven't played it. I heard some actually pretty good things in reviews about this. Okay, let's give it a try then, because there is nothing. Apparently, there's absolutely nothing. Clockwork Knight 2, a game from 1996 released for the Sega Saturn, is a humble standard platformer. Of course, it's a sequel to the first Clockwork Knight game, that came free with the system back in the day. And, I don't know, I heard some pretty positive things about the game. I mean, I heard some, you know, some pretty positive things on the internet, on YouTube, and, you know, here and there I heard some negatives, but mostly it's just positive. I want to make sure if those positive points are, you know, true. So here's a review of Clockwork Knight 2. Let's go check it out if it really is as good as the reviews say. So let's go check it out then. Since there is nothing else in my collection. Clockwork Knights 2. When I saw a review of this game, I thought that this game would be pretty good. You know, awesome graphics, and the game seems good enough. You know, a standard platformer. But actually playing it, I came to the conclusion that the game was... How can I put this nice? It's not that great. Sure, it's not bad, but it's not as good as I hope it would be. It's not a terrible game, but some of the reviews are pretty positive about this game, like I already said. And don't get me wrong, the reviews have some good points, that this game is being fun and that the music is pretty good, and I agree. But there are also some negatives that most of these reviews don't point out. First, I want to talk about the worst part of this game, the controls. I want to judge the game from the year when it came out. I don't believe that these controls were all that great for its time. Sure, back in the day, people were a lot more forgiving than now, but from a technical point of view, these controls feel heavy and floaty. They get in the way when you need to react super fast, and in the later stages the platforming gets unnecessarily hard because of the controls. But let's talk about the story first, and since I don't have an instruction manual, I have to go online. The story is about Pepper that needs to save the princess from evil toys. That's it. I haven't played part 1 yet, and maybe I should do that first, but I don't think it really matters all that much. I mean, would you really buy the Clockwork Knights games for its story? I mean, in the intro of the game, you see the toys having a nice party and the female toys are singing songs. Later, the princess toy is being abducted by an evil television, and that's also the first part of the game. It's an easy boss, and it's also a battle to learn the controls. After you beat him, she gets abducted again. Now it's up to Sir Pepper to save the princess. Very cliche story. Like I already said, I haven't played Clockwork Knights 1, but seeing the intro on YouTube, she gets abducted by evil toys. Why is she getting abducted? Because the toys are evil, and evil things always want to abduct princesses. The story is what you expect from a platformer like this one. Let's talk about that one thing I already mentioned in this review, the controls. This is my first review, so forgive me if I repeat myself, but I don't like the controls. At all. Like I already said, the controls feel heavy and floaty. They get in the way of fast reaction, and in the later stages they become one of your worst enemies. I mean, in later stages you need to do some precision platforming where you need good controls. I mean, it becomes frustrating how many times I died in these last levels because of the controls. I mean, in the first level of the last world, there's a segment where you need to do some jumping on tiny platforms that are moving. Okay, there's nothing wrong with a good challenge. I will never criticize a game on good challenge. But this segment of this level, you need good controls. And it doesn't help that if you tap the forward button twice, you can run faster and you make bigger jumps. Now, in a lot of platformers you have that, and in this game it helps out a lot in most levels. So it's not really a bad thing for the most part. But at this stupid spinning tower, you need to be extremely precise. But because you need to land on each tiny platform, you sometimes need to tap the button twice so that you will make sure that you land on the platform. But because you tap the button twice, you start to run and he will jump too far and he will overjump the platform. If you're lucky, you will land on a platform that has made it under you, but if you're unlucky, and trust me that will happen a lot, you will fall in the pit. And it doesn't help that you need to start from the beginning of the level. So you need to do the whole part of that level again, and then you can finally try it again. But the chance is really big that you will underjump or overjump a platform, so the circle never ends with level. Fall in the pit, start from the level, and then jump on tiny platforms so that you can fall in the pit again. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I'm terrible at video games, but trust me, this is mostly the fault of the game. The platforms are way too tiny and the jumping is very floaty and heavy.
Trust me, I had to start this level countless times. Not only is it extremely hard, but when you die, you will start from the beginning of the level. So every time I get at the tower part, I become stressed and scared that I will fail.
Okay, before I go on and on about that stupid tower part, let's talk about the rest of the level after the tower. The rest of the level is not as hard as the tower, but you have to be careful, especially with those beams, which are very small to jump on, and because of the controls, it feels very easy to miss a jump. And trust me, if you finally made it through the tower segment of the level, you have lost a lot of lives. So it mostly means you only have one life or more if you are lucky. So if you fail in this part of the level, it's game over, unless you have enough coins to continue. But even if you have enough coins to continue, you will start from the level and you will stumble on the spinning tower again. So if you finally get past the spinning tower, chances are pretty big that you only have one life. So if you fail in the next part of the level and you run out of lives and coins, it's game over and you have to start from the beginning of the level. This level is made unnecessarily hard because of the stupid tower and its controls, and I haven't even started to talk about the overall game and how good it is. I mean, this tower just ruined the game for me.
I am truly sorry that I keep mentioning the tower, but this tower has ruined it for me. Not only from a subjective point of view, but also from a technical point of view.
Okay, now that I have talked about one of the worst parts of the game, let's talk about the rest. Besides the terrible controls and that stupid tower, it's really not that bad. I mean, the graphics look super nice and colorful and the animation looks amazing. And don't forget the awesome music. It fits nice with the game, just listen to this. It totally fits with the level themes. And talking about the level themes, they are amazing. From the kids' room to the clock tower. What's cool about the themes is that certain level structure fits with the theme of each level. Like this part, for example. Here you need to turn a wheel to make stairs appear, so that you can get to different parts of the level for collectibles and power-ups. Or this part, you need to turn the wheel so that the turning tower turns the other way, so that you can jump on it easier.
And trust me, you're gonna need it for that stupid tower. Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, the level themes are pretty cool and well made. And the levels feels a bit bigger with those extra paths you can take. Too bad there are only 8 levels and 6 bosses. And if you play through the levels without the extra areas, these levels are extremely short. But then again, the levels are pretty filled with nice obstacles and extra paths, power-ups and collectibles, so it never gets boring. Especially if you like side-scroller platformers. Sure, it's still kinda weak that they only made 8 short levels, but they made it up with the nice content you get for each level. And in some of the levels, you ride your trusty horse named Baro to do some riding levels.
Now I want to talk about these levels. They are kind of a mixed bag. On one hand, it looks great, and it gets pretty wild with all the different enemies and routes you can take. On the other hand, the chance of you getting hit is pretty big, and it's mostly because of the cheap difficulty in these levels.
Yes, even though these levels are really fun and spectacular, a little bit, they can be frustrating. Sometimes when you are too close to the level screen, an enemy might come from the left and hit you. Now, that's not really the frustrating part of the level. It's normal for these type of levels to be hitting enemies that comes from the left if you are too close to the left. It just has to do with memorization, but it's the controls that makes these levels difficult to play. The controls are way too heavy. It's not unplayable, but it's not perfect either. The many cheap deaths are inevitable, so it gets pretty frustrating. It's a good thing that the levels are so short. And yes, it's still not a good thing that the levels are so short, but for these levels it's understandable. Not just because of the difficulty, but also because of the many crazy things happening in these levels. And besides, there are only 2 of these levels.
Now, let's talk about the bosses. I don't like them.
I know that I said that besides the controls and the stupid spinning tower, the game is pretty good. But thanks again to the controls, some of the bosses are way too difficult or way too easy. These bosses demand perfect and smooth controls. I mean, some of the bosses are okay. The last boss is pretty awesome and the 5th boss is pretty cool too. But the rest is either too easy or too difficult because of the controls. I mean, take this boss for example. Memorization is one of the way to beat this boss, but because of the controls, this boss is way too difficult. It's only the 3rd boss, the 2nd if you don't count the beginning boss. I do have to say that the theme of this boss is really awesome. It's just a piece of paper, but with different kinds of ink, he can turn into different kinds of animals. And the awesomeness counts for every boss in this game. Every boss fits with the world it belongs to.
Makes you wonder what kind of family lives in that house. Maybe it's in the same neighborhood of that family from Toy Story. Who could say?
Hey, the next and final thing I want to discuss is also my favorite part of the game, the cutscenes. They look so 90s. I grew up in the 90s and these cutscenes were a joy to watch. Sure, it doesn't look like much now, but back in the day it was fantastic. And I do have to say that these cutscenes really don't look that bad. And it's too bad that there are only a few cutscenes in this game. In the beginning there are 2, and the final cutscenes after you beat the game. They look so colorful and entertaining that I can look at them forever. I mean, back in the day it was so satisfying to see the ending cutscene of a game. After all the effort you put into a game, it was more than satisfying to see a long and nice cutscene. And in this game it does not disappoint.
So, the conclusion of this game is... it's mediocre. At best.
Sure, I complain a lot in this review, but I also have to say that there are some good points about this game. The graphics looks great and the music sounds amazing. The theme of the levels are really cool and the FMV cutscenes are fantastic. But there are also some negatives about the game. Like I already said before, the controls ruins this game for the most part. And don't forget some cheap difficulty here and there. That makes this game really frustrating. But if you really like side-scroller platformers, check this game out. You are going to like it.
Listen, only because I don't really like the game doesn't mean it's technically bad. I mean, like I've already said, if you like platformers, this is a pretty good game for you. But it's not as good as some people make it out to be. So, yeah. Well, you know, I kind of had fun. Yeah, well, I thought I didn't have any games left since there is nothing. Well, yeah, finally a new game played. I kind of had fun. You know, yeah, let's get it out of the system. Yeah, let's take them out of the system. No. Well, at least I played a game I haven't played yet. I guess it was kind of fun, even though I didn't like it so much. Yeah, well, it's better than nothing, right? Yeah, let's put it back. Not on alphabetic. Who needs alphabetic anyway? Everything else is alphabetic except for that one. Yes, I kind of have fun. Finally played a game I haven't played yet.
I'm still bored.